on Outside the Box Reviews, we are taking a look at the Bandai Tamashii Nations S.H.Figuarts Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan Son Gohan figure. That is way too many words just in the name of an action figure. But I am so excited that this guy has finally been re-released. If I remember correctly, this was one of the earlier figures in the S.H.Figuarts Dragon Ball Z line. And it was always one that I really wanted to get my hands on. I am a big fan of Gohan's look from the Cell Saga, which is this depiction of the character. Granted, it's really just because Piccolo's my favorite character, and I always think Gohan looks badass when he's basically copying Piccolo's costume, which he has done several times over the course of the show. But also, this figure comes with a ton of cool accessories, just like you'd expect from these Figuarts releases, and really, that's the reason I keep coming back to them. So let's jump right in and take a closer look at Gohan. For accessories, Gohan comes with a cape very similar to the one we got with Piccolo, but definitely a bit improved. It's a nice white cape. There is some bluish green shading going throughout it, giving it a bit of texture and color. Looks really nice. I love the sculpt on it, all the appropriate wrinkles and folds on it. It's a softer rubbery material, not super soft, but definitely a little bit bendable, which is nice. But unlike Piccolo's, this thing doesn't snap apart. This is all one solid piece, and all you do is take your Gohan body, pop the head off, slide the cape down onto his shoulders, and then pop the head back on, and Gohan's decked out in his cape. Now, Piccolo may have had a different option because he had the arm folding gimmick, the separate arms. He needed a cape that was indented in to fit those arms. I get that, but that cape always had a tendency to fall off on my figure, and it's so nice to have Gohan where it just slides on, and I don't have to worry about it being a pain in the butt. Gohan comes with 3 separate pairs of hands, and there's a nice variety here. We do have 2 fisted hands, 2 open blasting hands, so not the completely open, they're a little bit curled in, and then 2 kind of strange looking hands here. These ones almost look like a gripping hand, but Gohan has nothing really to grip. It's not really a relaxed palm, but my assumption is this is actually supposed to be the arm for when he's kind of beat up, when his arm's been broken by Cell. Kind of had this similar look when it's just kind of dangling limply at his side, but you can use it for a lot of different things. It's not so specific that you have to use it for this one piece. It's a very, very tiny hand, but we do have the fingernails sculpted in there, which is amazing. A lot of great lines in the hand itself, and even a little bit of shading in the flesh tone, which is really nice. Similar detail can be seen on the open blasting hands here, and the fists. Gohan also comes with 6 different faces and 2 hair pieces. The hair pieces, just like with Vegito, are basically his head. It actually contains the hole that goes onto the peg sticking out of the figure's neck, and then the faces peg into the hair piece of your choice. And I'm really impressed with the variety of faces they gave us here. Unlike Vegito, these all work together. Even though we have normal Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 2 hair, it doesn't really matter. It's all the same facial characteristics, so we really can get a great variety. We have one face where he's looking off to the side with his mouth open screaming. Now, I must mention that these figures, the general release of the Figuarts pieces, I believe, when possible, are designed after the comic version. The San Diego Comic-Con exclusives have usually been the anime versions, and these have just been the actual manga versions. So there are some different details, specifically with the little lines below his eyes, which I don't think were prominent in the cartoon, but I still like the look of it a lot. We have a serious face, which very much needed with a figure like this. And all these pieces kind of have the ends of the sideburns painted on there as well, on the sides, which is a nice touch. We have the incredibly happy Gohan face, which I really like. Very innocent looking Gohan here. Pissed off Gohan baring his teeth, another great head sculpt. Smirking Gohan, and pissed off looking to the side, which isn't a whole lot different than the pissed off looking forward head, but different enough with the eye movement. He comes with his standard Super Saiyan hair, Super Saiyan level 1, I guess you'd say, which is really nicely done. It's a nice yellow paint. There is some darker kind of shading going throughout, a darker yellow. Points on it are really nicely done. I really love the sculpt on this hair. Even the back, it's that shorter bit of hair he has there. Nice detail throughout. Much better looking than the Vegitos, I think, having this extra paint detail. I think some people may disagree. I think some people might like it being just pure gold, but to me, adding these darker colors really brings it out and gives it a much more visually appealing flair. We also have the Super Saiyan 2 Goku hair coming much more up, looking a lot like Goku's hair when he's normal Super Saiyan, honestly. Short in the back here as well. That same paint detailing on there with the darker yellows. We got some lines going through the hair and the one strand coming down over his face. Now with either of these hair pieces, to attach a head to it, you just pull the bangs off. They disconnect from the front. You grab the head of your choice. Every head has these two pegs on the back that will peg right into the hair. Then you peg the bangs back on, and you have Gohan with a new hairdo. Outside of the face, Gohan has a lot of great details. Neck is well sculpted, coming down to his chest. We have his low-cut Namekian style shirt with a lot of great wrinkles in there. Not a whole lot of paint detailing once you get below the neck, but there's a little bit of subtle detailing. Come around the back, similar detail there. Shoulder pieces looking very nice, kind of hovering there above his shoulders. His red belt, all the appropriate wrinkles down his lower torso as well. The arms are really nicely done. They continue that darker paint shading on there to kind of make it look like he's got some power going on. Good musculature sculpted in there. He's got the blue wristbands. Pant legs, those very bulky, baggy pants that we see a lot in Dragon Ball Z. And then of course he has his little Namekian shoes, which have a lot of great detail on them. Really nicely done. And they even painted in the ankle so you can see the gap there between his pants and his shoe isn't just purple. It actually has a flesh tone in there, which is really nice. No detailing on the bottom of the feet, which is a little disappointing. They don't do peg holes on these figures, and I always think it's because they usually do detail the bottom of the feet, and not having it here is a little disappointing. For articulation, it's pretty standard for a Figuarts Dragon Ball Z character, but it's also where I have the most complaints with this figure. There's a ball joint at the head, which is actually on a ball and hinge system, so you can look pretty far up and down. The hair on this figure sticking straight up doesn't limit it too badly. You can also turn side to side and lean a bit. You do have to play with that joint a little bit to get extreme side to side tilt, or extreme up and down, depending on how you have it configured. There's also a slight joint at the base of the neck, so you can move a little bit more there. I think it's a ball joint as well, so you go a little further up and down or side to side with it. Shoulders are on a double ball joint system, so you can move them up and down, forward and back, as well as rotate them forward and back. Very tight joint you could hear on this figure. You can also move out to the side at the shoulder. The arm sleeve piece is on a ball joint connecting at the back of the upper arm, so it allows it to articulate and you can move it to cover up the gap here at the shoulder. However, my first real complaint, the one here on his left side doesn't peg in as well as I'd like it to and does tend to pop off on me. A little disappointing, but I can pop it right back in, so not a big deal. We do have a bicep swivel, which you could rotate side to side. We have a single joint at the elbow, but it goes in very far, past 90 degrees by a fair amount. You also can rotate at that joint, which is a little interesting. However, this side, and this is a common problem I've heard with this figure, does tend to pop out on me. And it pops right back in, no real big deal, but sometimes it is annoying when you're trying to get him into the right pose, and that arm just comes falling off. And then you put it back in, and I pop off the shoulder piece or something like that. It can get a bit obnoxious. At the wrist, we have a peg system where it allows it to bend in and out as well as rotate, and you can move that hinge so that you can hinge the wrist whatever direction you feel like. Here at the waist, we have the double ball joint system we're accustomed to. You can move pretty far back, decently forward, side to side. Unlike Vegito, Gohan doesn't really feel like he pops apart quite as much. I know Goku did that. I think there might just not have been enough room inside the smaller Gohan body to accomplish that. So you really kind of lack a little bit of that added articulation you get from popping it apart, but it's still pretty movable here. And of course you can swivel side to side very easily. The legs can go forward and back, and then you can drop that joint down and get an even greater range there. Also out to the side very easy. You can also swivel at the upper leg, bend the knee. It's a double joint, and of course I love how they sculpt pants to look good even when the knee's bent. It looks pretty natural here. We have a ball joint at the ankle and a hinge at the toe. Now I believe Gohan is one of the shortest S.H.Figuarts Dragon Ball Z characters. I think Krillin might be a bit shorter. I've never seen him in person, but you can see he is definitely pretty well in scale with what he should be. If you look at him next to Vegito here on the left, you can see that that's about the right height he should be to Goku, and that's the same body they're using for Vegito. Obviously Goku's hair is a bit shorter when he's not a Super Saiyan, but very similar proportions there. You can also see compared to Android 16 here on the right, of course 16 being a larger character, Gohan fits pretty well in scale with him. And then Broly, holy crap does that thing tower over Gohan. And overall, I really like this Gohan figure. As I said before, I'm so glad they re-released it. Now it definitely does have some flaws, mostly with mine at least in that left arm. but they're not very big flaws. And as long as you're not super rough on this figure, those pieces will just pop right back in and you can continue on with what you're doing with it. So this figure gets a very strong recommend. Really dig this piece. He's super inexpensive at the time of this recording because he's been reissued. So I think you can get him for around 30 bucks, which is a great price for any import figure. And who knows, this probably will show up at places like Barnes & Noble. So it should be pretty easy to go grab it from there or any e-tailer. So do yourself a favor if you're a Dragon Ball fan and grab this guy. Now, having him in hand does make me think we need a repaint. And that sounds awful. Repaints usually kinda suck. But seeing that Bandai and Tamashii Nations have been overloading the S.H. Monster Arts line with repaints lately. But I think it would be great to see a minor, really retool of this figure done specifically for the scene of the father-son Kamehameha. And honestly, I might pick up another one of these guys and attempt it myself. It is a pretty extensive retool, 2 new legs and a new torso at minimum, but I think it'd be well worth it. Make sure you check me out on Instagram using name Outside the Box Reviews. Also follow me on Facebook, link below. And until next time, learn Outside the Box Reviews, stay tuned for more to come.